Okay, so this session we're going to be reviewing the US Open 2024 Premium. So I'm going to start just by kind of sharing how to find it. Start with the basics, and then we'll kind of go through it page by page. I answer any questions I can, and we'll find any answers we can in the premium. If there's still questions that aren't answered by the premium that you guys have, and I don't have the answer, I can get them. I can get with Greg and get you guys answers to questions. I know he's on vacation right now. I can also get with Laura and make sure we get questions to everyone's answers if we don't already have them based on either historical information or digging through the layers of the premium. And there are layers, which is why we do this review, because it's better to do it in great detail, because usually the answer is somewhere in the premium, but sometimes it's buried. So we will start with sharing the screen. All right. Perfect. Okay. So everyone knows the UKI website, I hope. So the UKI website, we'll start with just this is the homepage. Events is the where you need to go. Then you're going to go to UKI US Open here, UKI US Open documents. This will be like the page you go to for everything: results, confirmation letter, run orders, buddy lists, group numbers, like everything is going to be under UKI US Open documents. So typically they post that link when all those documents are available. But if you're ever looking for any documents related to US Open, they will be here. So this is where you're going to want to remember to go. US Open documents. So we're going to go to that page there. And then we're going to scroll down. So again, right? So this is all where the documents will be as the event is running and even beforehand. So what we're here to talk about is the premium. So right here, US Open Premium. I always go to the website. I don't look up any copies from anywhere else. The website is the most up to date, is the correct version. So that's the one we want to always reference. So 2024 US Open Premium, as you can see here. First page, pretty basic. Just a nice little summary. Our judge list. Entries have already opened September 20th. And then all of our amazing sponsors. That's always good to see and have. Gotta love sponsors, because otherwise without them we wouldn't have this. Yeah, so the first page, nothing too exciting to review. All right, so let's kind of go through slowly. I'm not going to read it, but I'm just going to go over some of the highlights. It is really, really important you have the GAC app on your phone and you have it updated and installed. I know sometimes people, at least with iPhones, I don't know how Androids work, sorry. People unload, quote unquote, their apps that don't get used for a while. And so if you haven't used the GAC app, it might have that little like cloud download button next to it if you have that feature on. So like now I would reinstall it, because you're going to start getting notifications even ahead of the event. So, and also just to make sure it is installed, it's the latest version. So definitely make sure you have the GAC app. Make sure when you have the GAC app that you have notifications turned on for this event. So if you open the GAC app, you're going to want to make sure you go to settings when it says configurations, and then you're going to want to make sure you toggle on UKI US Open so that you get all the notifications for that event. That's really the only thing that's critical you have to do if you haven't used it in a while or never used it at all. Also, the Facebook page is really going to be pretty important. So that's kind of what this little section here is here. That basically you are agreeing as an entry that you are going to basically follow all the notifications that come out and stay up to date with every piece of information that they dump into you as somebody entered into this event. Yeah. Qualified buys must be emailed to this email address. So I know there's a lot of questions about buys. So there's the buy tracker. There's a link here on the premium, or you can go back to the website. Go back to the website. And the buy tracker, is it on this page? Might not be. It could just be under events. Yeah. Oh, shoot.
It's on.
Events. Oh, stop. Stop. Your computer. Events. Buy trackers right here. If you don't have the hyperlink on the premium because you printed it. So you go back to the website, events, UK, US Open, West Coast Open, buy tracker. That's the one you're going to want to use.
The
Um,
hyperlink wasn't working for me yesterday, so
yeah, it doesn't look like it's a hyperlink. It just looks like it's blue
yeah.
because I'm not getting a little finger. So there we go. So hyperlink doesn't work. So just go to events. You'll see it's the second thing here, UKI US Open buy tracker. Um, so fill out the tracker the best that you can. Make sure your dog's information is on the top. It is a fillable PDF, so you can save it per your dog. There are buys that people have that are not on the tracker, things from invitational festivals. There's all kinds of different buys. They weren't all encapsulated on the tracker, unfortunately. If you have a buy that you don't feel is encapsulated on the tracker, just type it out in the email when you send this email to ukiusopen.info@gmail.com. Be like, hey, I was at UKI Invitational. I was told I have a buy based on winning this class. So I have a buy to this event. And just type it in the body of the email. Make sure you very specifically say which dog it's for. So like, especially if you're emailing two dogs buy trackers, um, it might be best to have two separate emails to, especially if there's one that has a lot of confusing things. Um, versus putting two dogs or multiple dogs in a single email. I have done both. I have put multiple dogs in an email when I'm just submitting the PDF and be like, here's all my details. But if it gets more complicated, it's sometimes easier just to separate the emails and be like, this is the buy information for dog A. This is the dog's number, handler number. Anytime you're talking about anything related to this event, include your handler number and your dog's number. It will make the office's life significantly easier. So even in the subject of this email, I will put buy tracker for handler 99999 dog 12345 so that there's no confusion about the information in that email and who it pertains to. And then I'll probably repeat that information in the body of the email somewhere. Hey, this is the buy tracker for handler and dog, so that there, again, no confusion. And the numbers are what's critical. Names get confused and mixed up. Numbers don't. Also, just make sure you're using the right numbers and you're not fat fingering them if you are including the numbers. Um, you have to submit your buy tracker before the closing of the event. You should get some type of receipt of the buy tracker within 72 hours. If you don't, you can follow up with this office email again. I'd wait this full 72 hours, don't include weekends. So if you submit it on Friday, I don't count 72 hours, including Saturday and Sunday, 72 like business days. Because they're people with, lives. And especially because we're not near the closing. You don't have to start really panicking until you get to like October 7th. And just being like, yeah, I did not get any confirmation. Then I will double check. And again, double check your spam filters. Because some things don't come through depending on your email address. So that's everything about buys and buy tracking. I will stop there because I know there's sometimes questions about buys and tracking buys. Because I can answer them now or try to before I move
Okay,
on.
I have one like so when you listed out like the like I have some at-home queues and like our and then like some in-person queues on the round two buy. And so
Yeah.
I didn't fill out like the last form, but I did fill out like the first page of the buy form.
Yeah. So what I do like on this page here, like I believe it's sharing, right? The buy tracker now.
Yep, yeah.
Okay. So like if buys 1, 2, 3, and 4 are like in person, I'll put the trial name. And then like if 4, 5 are like at home, I'll just say see at home page. And then I'll put them on the at home page.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay.
So then I'll
Maybe
put
I'll
them on
switch
here.
that.
Because like I have mixed as well. So like I just put see at home
Okay, cool.
for
All
the
right,
ones.
I'll switch that up.
That way I also know for sure that I have like, yep, that one's covered on the at home, that one's covered on the at home. So um it also just helps for my tracking purposes. But
Okay,
yes,
cool. All right, I'll switch
that's
that up and send that off. Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Got any other buy questions? Otherwise, we'll switch back. Stop. Oh my goodness. Did I just stop sharing?
No, we can still see it.
No, we can
Okay.
still see it.
The
Okay,
buy-
cool. I just moved the menu and I don't know where it went. Awesome. Okay. It's fine. It's out of my way. All right. So that's all the thing about buy trackers. All right. So there's two columns here. We'll just go with we'll start on the left. Ring description, 6 rings, 6 indoor rings. If entries increase, there is the 2 outdoor grass rings that may be used. Yeah, there's just no way of knowing for sure. But the idea is that we are using 6 indoor dirt rings. Well, not completely indoor, covered. 3 of the rings aren't technically indoors. They're covered, but they are exposed to the elements. Practice ring, there will be a WAO practice ring. We'll talk about that on page 15. Measuring. So if US Open happens to be your first trial, or your dog just turned of age, so just turned 2 and does not have an official measurement, you need to be measured. Or I guess, if you're trying out for WAO, then you need to be measured based on this information here. And the new rule book that was just issued, I would also double read that if you have not about measuring, but this is all the information you need. You can email a height card if you have one. I think AKC is the only one who's using official actual measurements these days. If you have a USDA one, that's like a filled out one, that's not just like the website, like you actually kept a copy of your one with all the judges' scratches on it, you could probably use that as well. I don't know a lot of people that have those anymore, but anyway, and then for WAO measurement, it's 3 to 5 on Tuesday. Unless you are trying out for the 600 height. There is no other measuring, so you have to be there on Tuesday in line by 5 o'clock. If you think you are like on a bubble, get there as early as possible if you can, just so that you have time to maybe change your jump height, change where you're running. The sooner you can help the office with that. Like if you entered at 12 inches, but you think you might measure into 8 or 16 or whatever, if you can get there earlier, that way you can move all your runs to the height you want to run in. That just helps the office. Vendors, Katie will notify us about vendors. We typically get that pretty late, but there will typically be a vendor list published. I know massage people will start posting their own stuff, and most of them are in the prep group to post that, or I try to share it. You get 1 free t-shirt per handler, as long as you enter these classes here, nationals, biathlons, and speed stakes. You can order another shirt if you want. There was shirt trading sometimes that happens if you get one that's the wrong size or you shrink. Crating has already opens on Thursday. So there's an email to Tara. Emails received before the 26th will not be received. She is on vacation. If you want, I think there's a crating thing later. We will talk about crating because I believe the crating thing comes next. Pages down. Emergency vets, e-stuff directions, hotels. If you already have your RV, there's some hotels here. I don't know anything about them. I've never stayed at any of those. I've stayed at the Red Roofs up the road. US Open announcements, as we said, the GAC app, Facebook, web pages, the documents page, all important things. Entry checklist. Any changes cost you $20, so make sure you get them right. No changes after closing. If you're going to pay by check, you have to mail it. Just really make sure that you mail it on time, so you don't have a fee. Checks don't get deposited until the week before the event. So if you don't want to pay for the event immediately, you can write a check and then you can pay for it in November. If you are okay paying for the event immediately, then you can pay online. There is a 3% fee for paying online with a credit card. And anything related to the US Open goes to this Gmail address. Don't email the regular office. Specifically email this US Open info@gmail for anything related to US Open if you have questions. Pause there real quick. Any questions about this stuff? Some of the stuff will go into more detail because it goes into other pages, like the crating and all that stuff. Okay. So the events itself, and there is more details about those. So I'm not gonna go over them in a great detail because they actually are detailed more, but the list of the events and the fees are here, and then the tentative schedule. If anyone remembers, like last year, like biathlon jumping is listed Wednesday, but like 20-inch biathlon jumping ran on a different day. Again, this is tentative. So we don't necessarily gonna run everything on these days. It's gonna be based on entries, but they're gonna do their best. The big things will run on these days that affect finals. So like on Wednesday, the two classes that definitely will run that day are speed stakes in round one, because speed stake final is the next night. So you have to run the semifinal on Wednesday. And then round two is on Friday. So you have to run, I guess you don't have to, but you have to run round one either Wednesday or Thursday. Versus like biathlon jumping has some flexibility because the final is until Saturday. So, but do plan on this schedule. And this schedule might impact what you're going to enter. So take note of this schedule when picking which classes to enter, because this is roughly what it's going to be. So general competition rules. These really aren't different from many of our regular UKI shows. The event is open to all dogs, doesn't matter what level. These classes don't count as cues or anything towards your titles, so something to keep in mind. You can only compete in one height. The dog can only compete with one handler. Whatever handler earned the buys is the one who runs them. Otherwise, if a different handler if you earned your buys on your dog and you can't run and you want somebody else to run their dog, they still can. They just can't use your buys that you earned. Because it is an open event, you could just hand your dog off to somebody else. At this point, when you enter, you have to do it at entry time. You can't do it later without talking to the office and having, again, paying the fee and having some kind of conversation with them. That I don't know for sure, and I'm sure there have to be extenuating circumstances to change handlers. Classes will run in strict running order. This is very serious and very true. So the running orders are randomly done, but the running order is very strict. They won't skip around. They won't work around you missing a time. You have to run in the order in which the running orders are published. Progressions will be publicized later. So that means like how many dogs will make each of the finals. It's about ties. There will be no NFC and no repeat to move on. This is normal for big events like this. So you cannot run NFC and you cannot do repeat and move on. If you choose to not finish a course, that is up to you. But you do have to you have to start at number one and take one. And then let's say you might have a dog who is a young dog, you're avoiding the dog walk. And the dog walk is number 18. Well, you can run up to number 18 and then excuse yourself from the rest of the run. But you have to run the run. You can't just make up a course. Sorry. Okay. Okay, there we go. Sorry. Oh, there's the change of handler thing. So if you need to change your handler, information. If you have to change handlers, that's how you would do it. Okay, so the classes themselves, this is kind of where we want to really break this stuff down. So US Open Agility is just a regular UKI agility class. Least faults win. It is part of the team, but you don't have to enter it as a team. So if you don't want to be on a team, you can still enter US Open Agility and just run it as a standalone agility class, and the class will be standalone podiumed. So first through or third, first, second, and third will get prize, whether you're on a team or not. Um, if you are on a team, it will be used as part of your team qualifications. So that's just a regular US Open agility class. And in the past, this course, like last year, this course was quite challenging. I don't know if that will change this year. I know for West Coast Open, our standalone agility class, the judges were told to make it more of a senior champ level. So I don't know if that instruction was also passed down to US Open. I hope so, so that it's a little bit more friendly for everybody to enter. Winner takes all jumping. So there is the entry fee goes to a prize fund, so you get cash if you win this. Only the winner gets a prize. Winner takes all. And then this is part of team, but if you don't want to be part of team, you don't have to enter this. So you could enter jumping and not agility. You can enter agility but not jumping. Unless you're on a team, then you have to enter both. Unless your teammates don't mind if you get an E or actually be an absent, which is even worse than an E, for not entering one of the classes. Speed Stakes Challenge is you have a semifinal round, and then so that's one round, and then you have a final round. Results are not combined, and there are people with buys to the final from different, I think those are from classics. And so they can run the course, and then just proceed, which is what it's explaining here. Is what happens with these dogs. The progression amount does get published with the confirmation letter closer to the event. It is based on entries. Yeah, so speed stakes, it's just like a typical speed stakes. It's fast, flowy jumps and tunnels. They might be a little bit harder than you would typically see at a typical speed stakes at a local show. But they're usually still nice, fast, flowy courses. UKI National Championship. So it's round one, round two, and the final. So round one is a jumping class, round two and the finals are both agility classes. This is not a cumulative class. So round one is what you would run on the first day of the competition, which I think it was listed as Wednesday. If you don't have a round two buy. So if you didn't get the 6 agility cues, the 6 jumping cues and fill out the buy tracker, you run round one, and there'll be a progression. So 50% or 40%, whatever that is. In the past, it's pretty much been anyone who does an E for most jump heights, not all jump heights, but it's a fun course. It's usually a nice jumping course that runs for that. Round two is an agility class, and it's usually like the top 8. It's a small cut for that to go into the finals, or I mean, it's more than 8, but it's a small cut. And then that final runs on Sunday. So that's the national, again, not cumulative. So each round stands alone. So as long as you make the cut, you start with a clear slate. So if you have a round, oh, there it is, top 50%, they already have that progression noted. So there we go. That one's the only one I think that's already kind of public because it's pretty standard for that event.
So I have a question on that.
Yeah.
So you do enter round one, even if you have a buy, or you should not
No,
enter round
you
one?
cannot enter round one if you have.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
You only people that can run round one don't enter round two. So if you want, even if you have the buy but if you don't want to use it, you can enter round one. You're not forced to use your buy if you have one. But most people do. So if you submit for the buy and say, hey, I have a buy, then you automatically go to round two. You cannot run round one. The games challenge, that's snooker and gamblers combined. Everyone who enters games challenge gets to run snooker. And then there will be a cut of dogs to go from snooker to gamblers. So not everyone will run gamblers. It will be some percentage, 30%, 20%, whatever they decide it is, will get to run gamblers. And then the games Winner is the cumulative score of points first. So the number of points you have in snooker and points you have in gamblers. So if you earned 50 points in snooker and 50 points in gamblers, you get 100 points, then that's your cumulative game score. So that's fun. Biathlon is a jumping round and agility round and combined results. So biathlon is a least faults class. So it is a challenging agility and challenging jumper course, kind of like Master Series, but it's scored that least faults wins. So that means clean runs will go to the top. Anyone with a 5 point, 10 point fault, will go down the list. And then the results are combined. So everyone who enters biathlon gets to run jumping, and then they take a percentage to go into the agility round. So you're not guaranteed the agility round. You do have to make the cut for that. Master Series last chance. So if you don't have a Master Series bye, you can enter the last chance heat to try to get into the Master Series final. Also, if you have a bye, you still can enter last chance heat. Anyone can enter last chance heat. Some people use them as warm-up runs, more practice runs, just a chance to run their dog and get them on the equipment. You don't have to run them either, though, if you enter. Just like throw that out there. If you get there and you're like, oh, I don't really like this course, or I just changed my mind. But remember, you cannot run NFC. So you can go out there and do part of the course, but you can't just make up your own course if you end up not liking it. So something to think about. And this is combined, it's scored just like a regular local trial master series. So they'll give out a bye to the winner of each round and the cumulative. And then those people will get placed into the master series final. So again, this is one you can enter if you do have a bye, if you would like. Master Series final. So you have to have a bye to be entered into this. So you can either earn it at the event in the last chance, or you have already earned that bye, and then you can enter Master Series final. Master Series final is scored just like a local Master Series. This is time plus faults. So, and it's cumulative. And everyone gets to run agility and everyone gets to run jumping, and it is scored as a cumulative event. There is prize money, just like at a local trial. There's a pot for a prize fund. And it's based on how many dogs are in your jump height, just like at a local trial. And then they do a podium first, third. Yeah. So again, that's really not much different than a local show, just a little more challenging typically. Challengers round. This is for people who have entered nationals and did not progress to the final. So if you run round 1 or round 2, or both, one and or, you can get a chance to go in the challengers round for a chance to win a spot into the finals. The winner of challengers, only the winner of each jump height goes into the finals. And it's a least faults. So you don't have to be clean. Like if nobody is clean, it'd be at least faults and then time. The team event. So you have 3 dogs, 3 handlers, any combination of jump heights. You don't have to have 2 of one. Doesn't matter if they're select, regular, just any jump heights. And then so basically each team member runs the agility round, the jumping round, the scores are combined, and the top 15 teams are taken to a team relay. The team relay is done where, depending on the jump heights you have in your dog, the dog with the shortest jump height runs first, and then the next jump height runs next, and the next jump height runs third. If all your dogs are the same jump height or similar jump heights, then you can pick which section of the course you want to run. So if everybody's a 20-inch jumping dog, then you guys can all pick which section you run. If you have an 8, 12, and 16, the 8 will run first, the 12, and then the 16. You do not get to pick which section of the course you want to run. So you have to keep that in mind. Based on if it matters to you, based on how you pick your teams. You can run select and regular dogs mixed. But a single handler cannot be on, like I can't have all 3 of my dogs on the same team. Or I can't even have 2 of my dogs on the same team. they have to be unique handlers and dogs. There's baton exchange rules and all that stuff here, about how it's scored. So if you are in team, make sure you understand that. Read it with your teammates, make sure your teammates understand that. It is really important, to make sure you guys make sure you have the best advantage for understanding how the, courses run and how eliminations work. And then there's a junior competition. Yeah, it's just as a scoring. They score the juniors a little differently. Here is a reference of how many dogs they took from last year, just so you can get an idea on the cutoffs, just roughly. It will, change based on entries, but that's just kind of, what we've done in the past. So those are all the events. Does anyone have any questions about the standalone events before I move on? Oh, okay. Cool. All right. All right. So schedules and running orders. So we know that, check-in is on Tuesday, from 2 to 5:30. Crating setup starts at 2. Um, Groupings. One nice thing about US Open is you can request to be grouped with somebody, but you both have to request each other. So you can't, say you want to be, in a group with me, and then I say I want to be a group with another person, then that person says they want to be in a group with another person, and you make this massive chain of people you want to be in a group with. You only get to request one person, and that person gets to request you back. And you have to make sure I think you need their handler number. So, or make sure their name is spelled perfectly. When you do a search, I don't remember exactly how that works, but it's when you put your entry in, you have to tell them that you want a buddy, and that could be a person, it's a family member, it could be a friend, but they have to put you again, they have to put you back. And they have to be done with your entry. You can't do this later. Yeah, Julie.
Just one thing, if you're not in the same high class, your buddy and you might be in the same group, but you might be walking in different rings, because that
Yes.
happened to me. So,
Yes. Yeah.
make sure that your buddy is someone who have a good chance of potentially walking the courses with, because my buddy was a 20-inch dog, and we didn't get to walk together because we were in different rings at the same
Yes.
rotation, but different rings. So FYI.
Yep, that's pretty common. You get the groups and they get split in different rotations. The 20-inch B dogs might be in rotation 2, but the 16-inch B dogs might be in rotation 3 in the different, in the same ring, or maybe even different rings. So, pick your buddy wisely, or just don't pick a buddy. Like, you don't need to. I usually don't, and I typically end up with plenty of people I know in my group. So unless it's really critical that you are with somebody and they are maybe in the same jump height, then I wouldn't, stress too much about it. If you are running multiple dogs, this is an important section to understand. So there's a random draw when they make the running orders, but they will move, whatever dog they pull first, they'll move them up. So you have at least 10 dogs, if that is possible. If there's not enough dogs in your group, in your height, then they won't be able to do that. They'll give you the biggest gap they can, and then they will allow you to have a 5-minute timer. So they'll mark conflict. They'll put a CON on the running order. So the ring manager knows to set a 5-minute timer for you once you finish your run. And so if you don't see the word CON when the running orders get published, that means the office has not acknowledged that you actually have a conflict, and you will not be honored the 5 minutes, because they have done the math and they have said you are going to have more than 5 minutes. You're therefore not marked a conflict. So if you disagree with that, once the running orders are published, and that's hard to say right now because until the running orders are published, you won't know. It's just something to be aware of when you're entering multiple dogs. Like if you're really stressed about running 2 dogs or 3 dogs or 4 dogs, you get 5 minutes, and that's it. And they won't move or accommodate you in any other way. So, and if you have even if they're in different jump heights, they try to keep you 10 dogs even through different jump heights. But again, they don't, they can't always. Some groups just don't have enough dogs. So they will give you the 5 minutes. And that includes them changing jump heights and bars and all of that. So, in a seated class, you have they will automatically move your first dog up. So if like you ran so well and your dogs are seated first and second in a class, they will move the dog that finished in second place to 10 dogs up or 9 dogs to give you a 10 dog gap. If they can, if you have enough dogs in that class. Otherwise, they will move it up as high as they can and mark you as a conflict, and you will still get your 5 minutes. If you don't want the 5 minutes and you don't want your dogs moved, you can notify them on Tuesday and say, I want to run my dogs in strict running order, but they are only going to give you 60 seconds then to switch your dogs, which is crazy. I don't know why anyone would choose to do that, but that is an option as well. If you truly think you're going to finish first and second in your classes often, and you just want to bang, bang, run them both back to back, more power to you, but you have to tell them that. Otherwise, they will automatically move your dogs and separate them for you. Yeah. Any questions about multiple dogs? I just did it, so I have a lot of experience.
Just the other thing is the 5 minutes starts when your dog takes the last jump, not when you're
Yes.
in the ring or when you get your dog's leash on or anything. They start that timer. And so if you're 3 jumps back, your dog takes, that's when your timer starts. I learned that the hard way because I thought I had.
Yeah, and the other thing is you also only have 5 minutes to check your score. So, at some time, also in that same 5 minutes that you're swapping dogs, you also have to check the score of the dog that you ran first to make sure that it's valid, or make sure you have a friend or buddy do that for you, so that if there is a scoring conflict, you get your grievance filed within that 5 minutes. So you don't have a lot of time. This is the challenge of running 2 dogs. You have to, yes, your dog has to take the finish jump, collect that dog, check your score, go get your other dog or pick whatever order, but also keep in mind you are having to check scores in between. They are pretty strict about that as well. Here's your competitor agreement. Lots of legal mumbo jumbo. Dogs have to be 18 months old unless they're only running speed stakes, and they can be 15. Rules of conduct, like just don't be an ass. And also like you agree for them to like use your images for all these photos. Like my dog's on the UKI site, and apparently I agreed to that based on signing this at some point. Social media conduct. I know they have gone after people for being quite rude on social media a couple years ago, talking bad about judges, the event. So just keep in mind they are watching, people are watching. So don't be mean to each other, don't be mean to the organization. Here's the refund policy. I know that's important for some people. So you can't change them after closing. A full refund is available. Uh, uh, wait, what? On memberships? They're not older than 14 days. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a strange refund policy. After closing date, a partial refund may be returned for a dog or handler injury or illness if accompanied with a documented proof from a veterinarian physician. Partial refund will be given 75% of entry fees only. RV and crating fees do not apply. And nothing after November 11th. So it's important. Don't bounce your checks, otherwise they'll cost you money. Any admin changes, again, I think that was earlier, but $20. Bitches in season can run. They are not wearing pants. They are wearing a mat, or sitting on a mat on the start line. They will run in order. So if you're used to bitches in season running at the end of an event, and you have a male dog, just keep in mind that they will run in order. So if you have a dog that is sensitive to that, there might be one in front of you, so you have some time to train on it. So keep that in mind. No refunds for weather, so no hurricane refunds. All judges' decisions are final. There's no video review or video challenges permitted by the competitor. That doesn't mean, and they'll cover this in the briefing at the event, like if there's a timer malfunction or like the time didn't stop for your run, like they'll get times off of four-legged flicks sometimes. or if the judge feels they like, this happened to me at Invitational, the judge asked for a video review of my run, because they were unsure of a call. The judge can ask for that, but you cannot. So you can talk to the ring manager and see if there's something you can do about it, but you do not approach the judge about any calls or decisions made. Yeah, any questions about any of that stuff? All right, crating.
Wait,
This is
I
a
have
fun
one. I have a quick
Okay.
one. Okay,
Yeah.
so I forget, like, so with the multiple heights for multiple dogs thing, not guaranteed that we're in the same ring, right?
Correct.
Okay, and so that like 5 minutes with the two rings. Well,
So
theoretically,
you'll never run in two rings at the same time,
okay,
the way
okay,
the running order works.
okay,
So even if you have dogs in two different heights and two different uh rings, technically, they'd be on different rotations.
okay, great. Thank you.
Yes. The only time that that's not true is challengers. Challengers, there's conflicts galore, and you just deal with it.
Yeah.
That's
And it
just
runs
kind
at
of a hot.
whatever speed because everybody
It
drops
runs at
off.
whatever speed, whatever order. You just kind of show up and just stand there and wait until you can go in the ring roughly in the order that the running order is.
Okay.
So challengers is just breaks all the rules and is a hot mess. I will just throw that as a caveat. Crating. So there's a couple crating options. There's full stalls, half stalls, and premium crating. Premium crating fills up very, very, very quickly. I highly recommend if you want premium crating, which is an indoor spot inside the main arena. You get a taped out space that's 4 foot by 5 foot. You set an email to go to Tara at 12:01 on the 26th because those fill very quickly. Stalls do not fill ever. I've noticed. There's two barns. And so they do use horse barn A. If they overfill A, they do have horse barn B. We very rarely have used horse barn B. If you want a full stall to yourself, you have the full stall option for $110. If you want a half stall and just want to meet a new friend and be randomly assigned to somebody, you can pay the $55 and split it. There also is a thread in our group, the prep group, if you want to try to find a stall mate so you're not just surprised with somebody, and split a stall that way as well. That is completely an option. If you pay for a stall, you do not have to tell them who all is sharing the stall with you. So you can have the stall to yourself. You could have 10 friends in the stall with you. They don't care. They just need to know whose main name to put on it. So don't worry about telling them, oh, I have a stall, I'm going to be sharing it with blah, 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 blah. They don't really care. They just need to know who's main person. When you are doing stall requests or grouping your crating, you can ask to be grouped with other people. Like, if you have a group of friends, you can ask to be crated together. You could be asked to be stalled together. They will do their best, no guarantees.
The easiest way to get everybody together is you have one person request 7 stalls.
Correct.
And then
And then like that one person's name is on all 7, which is fine.
Right.
So you'll see that they'll be like, Julie has stalls 1 through 7, but she could have 40 friends in all of those stalls. It doesn't
And I
really
know
matter.
that
They don't.
we have our messaging, Facebook Messenger going around today going, who's going? We need to be deciding. We're sending the email first thing Thursday morning.
Yes. And again, stalls aren't as critical.
Yeah.
But premium crating, if you want that, I would have that email drafted in an automatic send, unless you stay up till midnight and want to send that yourself. Or on the West Coast, and you can send that yourself because it's not midnight. Um, I believe if you have to, is there a thing on here? Cancel your crating. Yeah, if you cancel your crating before the 28th, there'll be a $5 fee for a refund. There's this cancellation stuff in PR on crating that's separate from the fees for your entry fees. Only if they can fill your spot also, by the way. So you can pay for stalls pretty late. You can wait up until the last day if you're not completely sure if you're going. Um, if you're worried about needing to pull for any reason, then you don't have to worry about, because they won't fill your stall spot. I can almost guarantee. So I would not expect a refund on a stall. You might be able to sell it to somebody online, but I wouldn't guarantee that.
Does it matter?
Uh,
Is there a definite advantage or versus stall versus the premium creating space?
So the premium creating space is in the one building, so it's a little further from the other building. The stalls are really close to your car, and parking. Stalls are outdoors and exposed to all the temperatures. So if it's cold, your stall's cold. If it rains, your stall might be wet if it's on the outside. Um, Stalls you have a lot more space in a stall. You can put X pens in a stall. If you have a premium crating space, I don't believe they allow X pens.
Oh, they do not. And
Yeah, I
it's
don't know why it's not written on
like,
here. So didn't they used to have, where's the rules? Because they used to
they
have
used
rules
to
about it.
say that you couldn't do it in the premium
And like
creating.
you can't, reactive and disruptive dogs may not be created. But it doesn't say anything about no X pens. Usually there's a rule that says no X pens.
Yeah,
Um, but
maybe
I
they
don't see that.
changed their
Maybe they
mind.
got rid of that rule,
I think
which is
it's just really, really close
it's
together.
really snug. Terry, you were at the Invitational. It
Like the
was similar to like the
invitational.
basketball courts like situation where you're given those spots were big compared to what you get at US Open. But it's similar to that, just like a big room with a bunch of people and taped lines, and you're all snuggled up next to each other, and potentially having somebody encroach on your space and you encroach on somebody else's space. Like it's just not defined. You don't have outlets, you don't have power. In the stalls, you typically almost every stall has access to an outlet pretty close. Some might need a little bit longer of an extension cord, but there's
Um,
power, which is nice.
Important to
But
know
yeah, it's
that
colder.
the equestrian center is not climate controlled. It is open. On the
Well, they kind of
sides,
close the door. They do close the big doors and make it more comfortable.
I know, but I'm saying there's no solid doors. It's not a building. Even when they roll the doors down, not the ones at the one end, but the other end, it's a
Yeah.
grate. And so if it's blowing rain, it could come in, or
Oh,
it's
that's
not.
right. It did get wet. It got really
It
wet
can
in there
be
that one
hot
year.
in there. It can be super hot and muggy in the arena. It can be super freezing cold. I've been there for both. So yes, you're inside, but it's not what I would call totally climate controlled an indoor building. It is certainly, you won't get wet walking from the indoor crating to the indoor rings like you would get wet from the stalls to the building. But you know, it's just
I mean, there's
I got
probably
people
more
come like they
walking.
should have told us it wasn't in the building wasn't climate controlled. It's not.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there is probably more walking if you have a stall, especially if you have a stall that's in the back of the barn, but it's not that far.
no, I think my distance from my RV to the building is going to be farther from my building to my stall, which is why I'm getting a stall because my RV is so far away.
If you
Okay,
have a
I'm
pretty,
just,
like, if you have a dog, like a barky dog that also doesn't settle well with other dogs, like constantly moving and people, like, I find dogs settle better in the stalls because they have the bottom of the stall is solid. So they don't see everybody walking by. They don't see, and then they hear, but in the crating area, like it's very, like everything is just very out, and like there's not a lot of walls and a lot of barriers. So, um,
yeah, no,
dogs might not
I
see
get it. I
everything.
mean, yeah, I get it. I mean, as far as what the indoor is going to be like, I'm just trying to figure out how much of a disadvantage is it to just do a stall? Do you need to do both? Do you need to have a
Oh,
spot inside?
I've never done both, even with multiple dogs. I've
I
never
don't
felt the
even
need
think
to.
they would let you do both. They do
Oh,
allow,
they would let you do both. It's not whoever
yeah,
wants to pay for what.
yeah.
I know
But they
people
do
who've done
allow
both.
us, they allow a swap crate. Like if you have two dogs and you need to have a crate right at the entranceway to run one dog and then you're 5 minutes and run your next dog. So if that's the concern,
It's
I'm not,
not, it was just a matter of proximity and that kind of stuff. So it's fine. Okay, I was just curious
The only
because
other
I'll
benefit
have
with the
one
indoor
uninner dog.
space,
Huh?
The only other benefit with indoor space is you are closer to the bathrooms if you're just chilling. The bathrooms are, you have to walk to the bathroom. There's no bathroom by the stalls. It's not far, but there's definitely closer bathrooms if you're indoors.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have an unentered dog with me because I'm gonna have the puppy with me, so I'm probably just gonna end up with the stall.
I'm
Yeah.
getting a stall to myself, and everyone's like, why are you getting a stall yourself? I said, because I have 3 crates. One of them is a puppy. And if I want a chair and a cooler, you know, there's room for maybe one other person with one other dog, but I don't know anybody with one other dog. Everybody has 2 or 3 dogs. So
Oh, I've had like, I put my 5 dogs and I've had 8 dogs in the stall, no problem. Small
wow,
dogs.
my dogs don't get along. Actually, the ones I have now do. The one I had before would create egress. So we always, we're used to having my own. And so I'm used to spreading out because I used to not be able to have other dogs around me. And one time I was supposed to have
oh,
a crate
sorry.
with one.
Go
with
ahead,
one
Terry. What
person.
did you need, Terry?
Yeah.
Okay. Next thing is just volunteers. Make sure you volunteer at least a little bit. You're off a rotation every day if you're in everything. You get the raffles are really good. You get money basically to pay at the concession stands. So like, and that's all the vendors. So you can buy dog treats, toys, food. So they take care of you. You get free water bottles, all that stuff, good snacks. There'll be a spreadsheet or something ahead of time you can sign up. And then there'll also be spreadsheets at each ring. And otherwise you can just jump in when they ask for volunteers if they need them. Hopefully they don't ask. They did threaten to cancel West Coast Open because we didn't have enough volunteers. And I don't think that would happen at US Open, but we obviously don't want to get to that point. So if everyone just volunteers a little bit, even if you don't volunteer every day, even every other day, it makes a huge difference. And there's course builder parties and all that stuff to volunteer as well. They have their own sign up sheet, but that's also, I think Tracy Sklenar usually does that. I don't know if she's still doing it this year. Um, There'll be an email in the group about that once that's open for sign up too. If you're trying out, this is the WAO cutoff information, and the application is very detailed. We're not gonna have time to go into that, but definitely read that in its entirety. But this is the important thing that almost everyone does use, even if you're not trying out for WAO, the practice ring. There is a practice ring. It has all the equipment, the wall, the tire, the long jump, dog walks, A-frames, teeters, everything. So if you're worried about your dog not knowing or being comfortable with a Gallican dog walk or that tire or the wall, it will be in the practice ring. And the only way you can access the practice ring is to pay the $60. You get a bracelet. If you pay ahead of time, you can only, it's only $55, so you get $5 discount. And you get a bracelet you wear for the week, and then you have access to the practice ring. The practice ring is like a self-serve thing. You go out there, you stand in line, you cooperate with everybody else, and you just practice whatever you want to practice. You cannot move the equipment, but you can bring food, toys. You can put your contact mats on the contact. You can bring a manners minder out. Like, it's really just for practice. You can bring unentered dogs in there as long as like you're being respectful of the people who have entered dogs who might be waiting in line, or that the line isn't too excessive. Typically you get 60 seconds and you have to get off whatever station you're at, and you can go to the next station and wait in line. I've never had a problem. Everyone cooperates very well and communicates, and it's like, hey, I'm using this. Can I share this station with you or whatever? Like, and West Coast Open was a hot mess, and it's still like there was no barriers. And everyone still cooperated and got along really well. So it's kind of a free for all though. So if you do have a dog that is reactive or chases other dogs, you might find it hard to use because there really is no barriers between all the equipment. So there might be like 5 stations, but they might just have like a single fence, but it's not a continuous fence between the stations. So like dogs can cross over from station to station very easily. So just something to be mindful of. You might want to bring a long line or something if you're going to bring a dog that you might have to keep tabs on and still want to use the practice ring. Yeah, here's all of our sponsors. Make sure you visit them. There'll be booths there. And there's the entry checklist, which is really nice. So if you have this, go through this checklist and just make sure that this is like, yep, done. So you know what classes you're going to enter. You've read, you understand the refund policy. You've gone through your buys. You filled out your buy tracker and you've sent that off as a separate email. You pick your t-shirt when you enter online, and then you have to pay either by credit card or with send a check. if you are trying to enter trials while you have the balance for a US Open on your account, it can be a pain in the ass and you have to work with the office. Like if you want to enter an at-home trial while you have the balance of US Open on your account, so like until that check clears, you're gonna have to constantly email the office to pay for your US for like your at-homes or for your other trials. So that is the one downside of paying by a check is that that
How
balance
can
shows
I
on your
talk?
account for a long time.
How
So,
should I talk?
so just something to keep in mind. Um, and then your grading selection, email, Tara that starts this week. Make sure you understand the multi-dog rule. If you're entering team, pick a team captain. The team captain enters all the dogs. So everyone else on the team does not have to select their entering team. Your team captain will pay for it, and then you work out with your team captain how they get paid. And then if you're trying it for WAO, make sure there's a separate application for that you need to fill out. And we can have, if anyone has any questions about that, you can message me separately. I think that's everything about the premium. So we have only a few minutes left. It is a very long premium. So I will stop. I'm not gonna stop sharing just because we have the reference. I will take questions and go through any questions now. Okay. Rose asked about buy tracker for games. That doesn't impact games. I don't know if she's still here. I think she left. Oh, there's Rose. Yeah, there's no buy for games unless it was an invitational thing. Then you would just send an email. You don't have to fill out the buy tracker. All the invitational buys that are like special, you have to send an email to the same email address. There is no buy tracker for all the buys that were earned at the invitational because that was like mid-year and they didn't want to republish the buy tracker. So, Cindy also asked like, so she wants to add a class after she entered. So, there's no good way to do that in their current system. You have to delete your entire entry and re-enter your dog. Yeah, you can jump over your jump height at US Open. Unlike AKC, so when you're entering your jump height, you can enter whatever you want to jump. It doesn't even have to be a height that you earned your buys at. So if you earned your buys at like 20 inches, but you want to compete for WAO, you can enter at 24. If you earned your buys at 24, but your dog truly actually is a 20-inch dog and you don't care about your buys or WAO, and maybe you just want to like run your dog at 20, you can run your dog at 20. You can run your dog at any eligible jump height. So if you have buys though, you have to, and you want to use your buys, you have to enter the jump height of your buys. So if you have a Master Series buy at 20, you have to, and you want to use it, then you have to enter dog at 20. And you have to enter the same jump height for all the classes at this event. You can't pick and choose which classes get which jump height here, like you can at a local trial. If you are not the captain, no, it won't worry about your team entry. It won't affect your team entry if you delete your entire entry. It's funny, my team captain just emailed me. She's like, did you get an email that I entered you as a team? And I was like, no. She goes, well, I got an email that says I entered you on a team with like that sounded like it should have been sent to me. So I think there's some kind of confirmation glitchy emails with the teams. So that's kind of fun. But the team captain, if the team captain deletes their entry, they'd have to re-enter all of you on team. But if you delete your entire entry, it doesn't matter. So just delete it, re-enter everything. Yeah. It only is a problem if you paid. So I don't pay for things until I'm for sure and done. Because then you'd probably have to email the office and they probably charge you the $20 to fix things. So I think that's it. All the other chats. Any other questions? Cool. It's there's a lot of information in the premium, a lot. So I always recommend everyone reads it multiple times. If you have any questions, go to the premium first. I remember like last year when we were wondering about how team was scored, like half hour before we are going to run team relay because we were trying to figure out like what happens if we like should the person just leave? Do they have to finish the course? Like we couldn't remember the rules, so we had to pull up the premium. So it's like everything is on the premium, and if it's not, it might be it's probably in the rule book. Or it will be in the confirmation letter when we get confirmation letters going forward. But they do a pretty good job. We've done enough US Opens at this point. They kind of know where all the questions are. There is a briefing on the first day as well. If it's usually it's live on Full Legged Flicks and on Facebook. You usually can't hear it very well. So I do recommend attending that in person if you do have questions. Otherwise, yeah, the prep group is where you can keep posting questions and the community will answer. I'll answer. Greg is in the community too. So like if it's really a question I'm pretty sure that Greg needs to answer or confirm the answers to, I will make sure to tag Greg in it or send it to Greg to respond to. I'll like message it to him and be like, hey, can you respond to this? Because I want to make sure that the right answer is being fed to the community. So he doesn't monitor the community, but he's in there so I can tag him if I need to. So we always have that as a resort, except for right now. He's on vacation after West Coast Open, but he'll be back in like a week. So yeah. If there's anything else, just feel free to, use the group, the prep group. That's what it's here for. And then like if you need to find someone to share a stall with, you want to find a walkthrough buddy, you want just whatever you need, that's what the again, that's what the group is for. So feel free to use the group for that kind of stuff. I think that's all I got. So thanks for joining me live and those who are going to watch the recording. Hope you enjoy, and I will see you all later.
Thank you.